I'm actually very glad because it brings back a lot of memories. It will be my pleasure to share a lot of experiences with us all. I've titled this something that's quite relevant. But before that, I decided to show my own oath-taking ceremony, September 1995. Next year is going to be 30 years. And I had just wished that it was the 30th anniversary that I was going to give this. Now, if you look very closely, you are going to see one very skinny guy over there, beside the then Dean of Medicine, Professor Ojogu. That's on one side, on his left side. If you look at the right side, you probably will be able to identify who is there. We really don't seem to be separable, and that's the person that's on the high table. Before I start, I want to go back memory lane. In this hall is this man who taught me in primary school. And a few years ago, he came looking for me and told me that two of his children were in the medical school. That's him there, Mr. Okoji. Then we're very privileged to go to the big schools, so I only could attend afternoon school. But I'm glad that he taught me so well, and I was able to make progress to become a doctor. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. It's instructive to know that his daughter is amongst those who are graduating. We'll say, please stand up. A very hard-working young lady who ended up being one of the group representatives of the class. I also want to say congratulations to all the parents who are here. It's not easy. To all the teachers, to them, to the graduating students. Congratulations to the University of Benin for churning out worthy graduates every year. And also to UBTH, that's the laboratory for the training of these students. A round of applause for all of them. It's always good to know where you are coming from. History is very important. Yes, skinny bag of bones. Not about 30 years ago, and that was when we were graduating. But for me, it brings back a lot of memories. On that day, I was privileged to be called amongst my classmates to come and give the speech. And if it was the auditorium, I would have been able to spot exactly where I was standing. And I remember some of the things that were said that day. On that day, it was supposed to be a hopeless case. A few days before that, I lost my dad. So when students are complaining, I tell them, yours cannot be worse. And then now, a few years after that, he begat her. That's my daughter during her own maternity. And then you can see how, with her fine glasses, which are still on till today. She was a wonderful classmate and rose to become the first professor that we had in that class, Professor Vivian Romano. That class also stands as one of the best classes that the University of Benin has ever produced. They call them the class of splendor. So now that you all probably have yearbooks, that was the very first class that succeeded in producing a yearbook many years ago. And I must almost always honor my own classmate, not Deputy Provost, because a few days ago, she was awarded the prestigious fellowship of the Academy of Medicine. Please, another round of applause for her. And then we say, now that you are a medical graduate, I can see you guys. May they call them doctor. I could see some of them saying, if you address me as Mr. again, I will not listen to you. So they are like that guy, just posing around the place. Say, yes, now I am Dr. Ose. Now I am Dr. Reverend Father. So, but now that you're a medical graduate, there are a lot of mixed emotions. The very first one is this feeling of satisfaction, feeling of pride. Do you know the heavy burden that has been let off you? And as I look at them, I know you all. You know I know you. Aha. So let's keep it secret. It's our little secret. But the heavy burden has been lifted off them. I know how many times you say, my friend, will you stand up there? Did you go for your call? And all the stresses. My friend, you must be in the labor ward at 8 o'clock, and then they are running helter-skelter, even in the rain. For all that burden, at least momentarily, has been let off you. And then this feeling of fulfillment. It's almost like, I know you. That's why I say I know you very well. Some almost gave up along the way. They felt that, no, I can't go on. I would say it's just a few more days. Why not just continue? We are glad today that you have made it. So that fulfillment is that. But remember we said it's mixed feelings. On the other hand, there's this other aspect that many of you will be having now. Some of them are now saying, so I'm not a doctor. So what if I'm in my house and they just bring the child who is stooling and the child is severely dehydrated? What will I do? So that apprehension suddenly comes because you get home today and just say, there's one doctor upstairs. I had the same thing. You just go to one private hospital, say, I want to learn. They'll give you, they say 2 nights. And the next thing you are afraid, when they bring somebody, what will I do? And the next thing, the worst case is what they will bring is a child who is severely anemic and is breathing seriously, 15 cycles per minute, child is almost dead, and you are asked to take care of that child. Because you are completely confused. You almost start telling them, hey, I just graduated. I hereby refer you to where UBTH. So the indecision and all that, fear, and then the fact that you are undertaking a new burden. All of a sudden, the parents will now start telling you, hey, remember, Osamudiame is now your responsibility. The other one, you are not going to pay the school fees. But those are the mixed feelings, and they are real. But I tell you, fret not. If for nothing else, just remember the guy that's in front of you. He had to train about 6 others from that day. And I make what to say, virtually all of them are graduates. At least 3 of them are postgraduates. 2 of them have their PhDs, all from that time. So it is possible also for you. Those days we were looking for how to eat so we can add a little weight. Now we are looking for how to cut our meals so that we will stop adding weight. So some of you may probably recognize yourselves here. These were all things that you did in the course of the program. That was last year's conference. Many of you were there. These are some of the outreaches. So you went to my own village, Ohodwa, and some of you were there. You may probably recognize yourself. This was the recounts, I think, sent forth sometime last year. So you've all been involved in a lot of things, and we are glad. But you need to know this is just the beginning. You know, in life, sometimes you say, let me just finish, and then it's all done. Story. You've only just climbed the first step. And by the time you climb the second step, say residency. Once I just finish residency, I become a consultant, it's all done. Story. They'll give you a new step. So you just keep moving from one step to the other. It's a long life journey. And so you need to understand that this just gives you a license to do more things. And you must be ready. What are the immediate next steps? You all know. Immediately after this, you must do your housemanship. Even if you have decided I'm going to be a professional medical politician, at least still do your housemanship. So what's the first thing? You need to get a housemanship position. It doesn't come cheap or easy these days. Therefore, one of the first things that you must do now is to start roaming around, try and look for one of us to write a reference for you. Because sometimes it's when it's late that you are now running helter-skelter. Get that reference. I remember 2 years ago, they all would line up in front of Professor Mamu's office looking for reference letters. So please, start making arrangement to get that ready. So that when the time comes, you have a reference letter. And then you get your housemanship space. You've got to do the housemanship. It's a very important aspect of your training. What are the major targets of your housemanship? The first one is knowledge, which would have started from a medical school. You need to have the knowledge. So all that will have infused into you. And a little bit of experience. You need to improve that experience when you become a house officer. Then you must look for skills. This one, I stressed it a lot. When we finished school, we were looking for positions. I was privileged. I had 3 options. Central Hospital Benin, UBTH, and then Eku Baptist Hospital. Now, we all know, if you want to make money, you go to Central Hospital. If you want to learn stuff, you come to UBTH. If you want to learn skills, you go to Eku Baptist Hospital. So I was in a dilemma. Then I knew I needed money. So I started in Central Hospital, spent 3 months. But I knew, obviously, the last thing I needed at that point was stuff. So I did not come to UBTH. The other one I needed was skill. So I resigned from Central Hospital and went to Eku Baptist Hospital. And I made God to say that by 6 months, I did my first cesarean section as a house officer. So the choices are there. Then another target is that you need contacts. Some people will do housemanship, and you're asking them, who is the consultant that can recommend you there? For a whole year, they can't point at one. While you are doing your housemanship, you need some contact. And I'll talk a little bit about this later. Obviously, you need finance. You are not doing it for free. So make sure that you also make some money, but don't spend it all. So if a car is not your priority, please don't struggle to buy a car immediately you start housemanship. But if you think that you have backup, like I can see many here who are accompanied by His Royal Highnesses and His Royal Majesties, we understand that that's not a priority. So for you, you can buy your car, no problem. But for those of us who are still trying to add weight, we understand. So please, car may not be your priority. As a houseman, there are certain things that you must do. Your attitude to work is as important as the work itself. Number one, you must learn to respect every person. These days, we're having challenges whereby house officers are always fighting with one nurse, one matron, one senior colleague, one driver. Please, I think the problem is lack of mutual respect. You must tell yourself that it is my responsibility to respect every member of my team. As a doctor, yes, it's like you are born to be a leader. However, even in leadership, there's responsibility. You must give respect to every single person that's in the team. You must be known for hard work. They say hard work doesn't kill. Work doesn't kill. Please be known for hard work and diligence. Make sure you have good relationship with virtually every person. All these are good ethical principles. And then the one I put there, remember to dress properly. How will you like it that a doctor, you are a patient or a patient relative, and then the doctor is coming in with headphones, with jumpers, hey, ho, ha, hey, ho, and then covering his ears with earphone and all that. See, medicine is a noble profession. You must learn to dress decently, not only for the females, including for the men. That's not the best time to be exposing everything. Though one may argue, when you expose everything, maybe you bring some soothing relief to those who are ill. However, please, let's just try to be modest. This is very important for me. You must learn to have a mentor. I think I remember amongst them, there was somebody who came to me once. I remember you, please stand up, yes. He came and met me specifically. He had a few challenges then and said, sir, I want you to mentor me. As far as I see him today, I feel glad that eventually he passed through my department and was successful. So I'm still there for you. Please sit down. Don't finish your house money wherever you go to do it without having a mentor. As you move on in the various departments, identify somebody who can be a father figure to you, whom you can call anytime. Sir, they have just offered me a place in UK. Do you think I should go to UK or I should prefer to go to US? He has the experience. He has seen it before. You are not reinventing the wheel. Just ask him, and he will be there for you. Please remember, that's one message you take away from this place. Remember, you need a mentor. Also remember to show gratitude. You know, as I said, you are not walking gabu, you are not a big boy. So remember, people trained you. You may have been lucky, you had multiple sponsors. Mommy will give you, daddy will give you, uncle will give you, uncle will also give you, and all of them. So some were privileged. But there were others. I remember a medical student about 2 years ago who told me he used to go to join these laborers, and that was true. He used to carry blocks to be able to make money. And he had multiple receipts. I remember him so well. So the day he graduated, I was very glad. So there are people who had serious challenges. But we will learn to show gratitude now that you have graduated. Show gratitude to God Almighty. Without him, you would not have made it. A big round of applause to God Almighty. Remember your sponsors, parents, elder brother. I don't know whether this is still in vogue now, but in those days they told us that your first salary must go to who? Your parents or your sponsors. But now the children are now rationalizing it. They are changing it to 10%. They are changing it to 20%. They are changing it to a bottle of wine. And then for some in government establishments, it takes 3 months for them to pay you. So when they are paying you your first 3 months, they pay you real big money. And so I will say, no, now, I can't give all this one. But you can argue it. Is that not your first salary? You see them now, they don't even agree. So they will now split that into 3 and say, it's the first month. They didn't say your first month salary, they say your first salary. Can you see now? They are already negotiating it. Also remember to be grateful to your employers. If anybody employs you, including the federal government of Nigeria, let's remember to be grateful. Be grateful even for very little things, even those who taught you, including me, who remember me. And then as we progress further, hold the profession in awe. We hear these days of people who are degrading our profession. Medicine is a noble profession. Please try to avoid unethical practices. As a doctor, do you know the powers that you have? Very strong powers. Do you know that you can tell a political aspirant that you have a mental illness? And if you write that and sign it validly, do you know that that casts a slur on that person? You have so much powers. Sometimes you can declare somebody dead. Please don't declare somebody who's alive dead. But you know the thing, until a doctor has declared you dead, you are not yet dead though. So that's to show you the enormous powers that you have. So just know too, that when you are, to whom much is given, much is expected. Don't take your powers for granted. One small mistake that you make can cost the life of an individual. For us in obstetrics, an error in the theater makes that woman to die, makes the children to be motherless, makes the father to become a widow, and makes the whole nation to have lost a woman who would have taken care of the potential president of this great country. Therefore, anything that you do, make sure that you do it well. Please, it's important. We're having doctors these days who are not licensed or certified to take a woman to theater, and they go to theater. And while there, they cause more havoc. If you can't do it, don't allow money to be your primary push for you to carry out certain things. Please, this is important. You hold a lot of powers. Too much powers are given to us as doctors. So please make sure you tread carefully when using your powers. Don't take that privilege lightly at all. There are also further steps. There will be professional training. So, as a doctor, there are various options for you to move on in life. You have the professional aspect, so you want to just be a pure doctor. You also have those who can be scientists. So take note of this. Determine where you want to be. Sometimes right from the beginning or in consultation with your mentor. Some will want to be academics, so they return back to the university to teach. Some will be researchers. I remember myself coming back to residency. I remember with nostalgia, my father in the profession, late Professor Garolo, who at the very beginning gave me data to go and collect. Started collecting data, but I didn't know he was teaching me the basic principles of research. So you may just start with that. Then there are new fields these days, new subspecialties that people are going to. Think of which one you want to go to. Then this other one, I know some of them are already saying, see, I'm going to hang my stethoscope and go to the Senate. Once you're a doctor, you're already a doctor anyway. So once you go to Senate, they'll put you as a leader of the health committee in Senate, despite the fact that you can't even remember how to certify somebody there. But if it's politics, no problem. We need many of you also in politics. And then there are so many others, tangential ones. I see many doctors these days who are professional musicians. They are professional compares. They do many other things. Doctors are multi-talented. So we don't want to restrict you. But remember, whatever you want to do it very well. Now, this very important one. It's a great question. Travel or not to travel? In times past, we were saying, well, you can make it here. But with the many things we are saying these days, not many of us are willing to restrict any person. We are writing a lot of letters for those who want to travel. However, you must think. It's important. Don't look at only the fanciful stories of how some have jackpot and they have made it. Unfortunately, there are a few who did not plan well. So you must think, how do I want to travel? Do I just want to travel when I get there, I start doing my exams? Or I start my exams here before I travel? If you get there before you start doing your exams, it could be horrible because then you have no sustenance. It's very expensive to stay out there. So consider that. When should I travel? Should I travel when I'm older or when I'm younger? If I ask Vivian now, she will know that more than 3/4 of my classmates, those people you are seeing, they are out of this country. Some of them left earlier, probably the better. If you ask Professor Mwemo now to start traveling to the UK now to relocate, it becomes so difficult because how are you going to start? So determine when are you going to start and then where are you going to. Various countries give you various options. So you must think and discuss with a mentor. As I round up now, this is a very important one, the issue of relationships. Relationship between doctors, patients, patient relatives. You know, as we say, if you're a patient, when the doctor comes in, he's admired with their fine suit, their well-knotted ties, the women with their well-made hair. They look beautiful. And so you find that they look admirable. They look lovely. So every person will want to be around you. But should the doctor have more than just a professional relationship with a patient or patient relative? Well, it can be argued on different fronts. But that reminds me of one house officer we had some years ago. See, don't mind me, but it's the truth. This was a really lousy house officer. Anytime you ask him, what about this patient's results? He always had excuses for everything. And so one day we were in the ward round with this elderly woman. And while we're in the ward round, he is the house officer. Where is this woman's past 7? So actually, it's not yet ready. We know he will never get anything ready. And while we're doing that, we saw 2 pretty ladies coming. Later, we got to know that they were the woman's daughters. And the next thing they just came, Doki, that's him. Oh. They didn't bother about us. That's our mommy, that's our doctor. The lousy house officer, we consultants were there. And then the guy was using mouth to tell them because we already cast. My friend was in past 7 room. And then they were shouting, Doki. It was later in the evening I knew why he was docky. I was driving through house officer's residence, and I saw this doctor hand in hand with someone. I looked well. I saw that it was docky and patient relative. So sometimes it can really be an issue. And I realized that was why he was docky. He was taking them out, he was doing other things apart from what he was supposed to be doing. But for them, that was their docky. And Mama was happy that one of the daughters was having an eye for docky. So please be very careful. And the last one really has to do with this story some years ago about this elderly man, 85-year-old man, who was having an issue with his prostate. And so was being seen by the urologist. And so one day he had a small complication, and they were thinking of treating him at home. And he said, "No, doctor, admit me." Admit you? Okay, fine. They admitted him to the ward. And while he was in the ward, the matron of the ward came around. And while they were saying, he now called matron, "Matron, please, I want a private nurse." And he even gave the specification. "I want a tall, slim, beautiful, young nurse." And the matron was amazed. How can this 85-year-old man at your age still be asking for a pretty, good-looking nurse? After he tried and tried, she now went, you know what, she brought one of the matrons, assistant matrons, with arms like a Christian mother arm. And said, the man was disappointed. And said, "No, this is not the one I'm asking for now." Kept begging and begging her. And then the matron said, "I will think about it." Lo and behold, a few hours later, they came, the nurses were doing handover around, and he spotted one amongst them. One of the young ones who was carrying paper and writing for the matrons that were doing handover. And when they were leaving, he now called her and begged, "I want you to be my private nurse." And the matron looked and winked and said, "What kind of man is this? 85-year-old. He said, "Okay." So they reached a deal, and she was now his private nurse. Now, when the man was admitted in the clinic, he called his son. "Michael, I've just been admitted into the ward. Please, will you have time to see me?" And the son, as usual, gave him all the excuses. "Daddy, you know I'm very busy. I work in the bank. I won't have time." And he said, "No problem. But I'm in the ward. Whenever you have time, try to see me." He said, "Daddy, I'll send you money." So in the evening, when his private nurse was not there, he now gave her the phone. Said, "Please, I'll call my son and you let me speak to him." So he called the son. "Michael, I told you the private nurse I have, he would like to talk to you." Beautiful voice. He said, "Please, my name is Stacy. I'm the private nurse to Daddy. He's just been admitted in my ward, and he says he would like to see you, but whenever you are free, I know you are very busy, please try and come." And next thing, "Did you say you're staying?" "Yes." I said, "Okay. I will round up now. I hear he's an admission." In 30 minutes, Michaelo was in the ward, and he saw that, "Hey, Daddy, I'm very sorry. I know you are ill. Oh, Daddy, you are very sorry." And the next thing, looked at him. "Daddy, have you eaten today?" And he said, "No." He said, "Okay, hey, says, where did they sell food in this place?" So I was like, "Okay, let's us go and get food for Daddy." And then two of them went. More than 1 hour, they were still looking for food outside. And then before they brought food, and Daddy saw that even Stacy had her own bag, and they gave him his own bag. So Stacy at least had gotten something. He said, "Fine, moving forward." So after someone spent more than 2 hours with him, which he would never do, then he went home. The next morning, before he went to work, what did he do? He came back again and said, "Daddy, I was just passing by. I'm going to work." I said, "Let me just say, greeted Stacy," went away. Later that evening, he came back again to greet Daddy. And so he did it until 5 days. Daddy felt that at least he had had enough. Thanked Stacy, paid her, got discharged, and went home. So they said the old men, they have sense. However, the main information here is that please be careful about relationships. You must know that you are hot cake. Whether you like it or not, you are hot cake. Both the males and the female. Learn to be careful. Learn to judge wisely. I don't know, in the past, they used to tell us never. They used to say it's never have a relationship with your patients or with their relatives. But these days, I don't know whether it's still never. MDCN, you will teach us to know whether it's never, but even if you must, be very careful. Otherwise, you will lose track of your ethical principles. And so I'm rounding up now, and many times I say, what gift do I give to these my children and these my new colleagues? We are not colleagues, colleagues. I say, what do I leave behind for them? And I say, the best thing I'll give to them is a part of me. Sometime last year, I gave one of the biggest of my guest lectures at a national conference in Kano, and I had a booklet printed for it. So I call this a part of me, a chip of me. And I was told that there are 25 of them who are graduating today. And I asked myself, can I give them a part of me? And I remember that I had at least 25 copies of this. It was my own treatise to a man who built my department here. By the time he retired, I had not even entered. But many years later, he got to know me and took me as a great-great-grandson and became a mentor to me. He died 2 years ago, Professor Linus Nwachukwu Ajabo, and I was privileged, worldwide, I was privileged to be called upon to give a national lecture in his honor that he called the Frontiers of Medical Education. And that was where I got this gold medallion from, and for which I'm very proud today. And I decided that that's the gift that I also impart onto you today. And so I'll call upon two persons to go represent them. Also, obviously, and Dr. Reverend Father Agada, please come forth on behalf of your colleagues. It's a Reverend Father, so you can imagine what he has gone through to be able to graduate today. So these are 25 copies. So they are already endorsed and licensed and signed, and so you can distribute one to every single one of you. When you get into your wonderful kingdoms, and I'm sure you'll be in various kingdoms in this world, please don't forget also. I won't mind the ticket to come and visit you in UK. Then I may probably be in Canada, so I can always visit to UK or the US. Also, don't forget your parents. So by the time you travel, some of the parents are suffering in Benin today because all their children are outside the country. Please, if you are not careful, Daddy will get a private nurse that will make you come and visit him. And so, as I stop now, I want to commend you all unto the hands of the Almighty, who is able to do exceedingly great for all you all. May it be that on the day of disaster, they will tell you that you narrowly missed it. Amen. May you not be late for your blessing. Amen. Don't fall among those that say, oh, if only you were just here. They just completed the interview yesterday. It shall not be for you. Amen. You will hear even at the last minute so that you just hear, you'll be among those that will come. Even if you get crashed, you will still be a part of the interview. Amen. May you remember us. Amen. All those who have trained you and those who have come here today. When you make that your money, always remember that you are more blessed to give than to receive. May the good Lord bless you and keep you and make you better. Thank you and God bless you.